Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Good morning. Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Thank you for being with us today. We're going to celebrate life and the wonderful contributions that people are making in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful that you're with us today. I want to thank Wilkes Communications, River Street Productions, and WIFM for this opportunity. And again, thank you for being with us. Our special guest today is Sam Burchem. We've been friends through some fundraising events through the last years at Oakwoods Grocery and Robert Rosati. His wonderful wife is BJ, who's been our guest here before, and she's involved in several community ministries and a longtime servant at Wilkes Community College. Sam's had a lot of mentors in his life, Ed Reynolds and Larry Stone. He's a significant contributor to Boy Scouts. He's an Eagle Scout in 1970. So thank you for being with us today, and we're going to learn about raising money in communities to support worthy causes. Good morning to you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Sam Burchem, what an honor to have you here. So let's go back to Benham and family, and as you started life and learned to give and share and care.
Well, mother and father was James and Valley Burchem. We lived there in Benham. It's a little community between West End, Elkin, and Austin, Traphill area. And I have one brother and three sisters. And once he left home to join the Air Force, then I was outnumbered with all the girls in the house. But I survived it. So, but I had a good time. And,
good.
You know, as kids, we played outside and didn't have air conditioning to stay inside, so
Yeah.
we played a lot outside in the woods and all. And as I grew a little older, I wanted some spending money for a little local store, and so I would mow grass for neighbors. I'd hook Dad's lawnmower up behind my bicycle and go up and down the roads mowing grass. And
Wow.
gathering up hay for neighbors, priming tobacco. Even sold the Grit newspaper.
Did you really? I remember the Grit.
Yeah, I would send them, it cost 15 cents. I would send the company a dime and I'd keep a nickel. So
And that was a relationship you had with them?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I'd sell about 20 of those and make a couple of bucks.
Did it come every week?
Every week.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Came on Thursdays, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So it was a good time.
Sam Burchem, tell us about then on through East Wilkes High School and started a couple careers that were good to you.
Yes. Graduated from East High in 1970 and participated there in FFA quartet and drove a school bus.
You were a singer.
Well, was. But drove a school bus and helped with activity buses, taking the sports teams to other schools
Yeah.
to participate, and I just had a good time. And after graduation, a year later, I joined the Army National Guard there in the Elkin unit,
Yeah.
and from 71 to 77,
Yeah.
and took my boot camp basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in Columbia.
We're going to talk about Boy Scouts a lot, I hope, this morning, but go back to, kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. Talk about going into Scouts and getting your Eagle.
Well, I was a senior in high school, and when I got my Eagle, but back, I started going to Scouts with the brother. I was only about 9 years old and he was going, so I followed him around and couldn't join until I was 11.
All right.
So I followed him around for a couple of years and then was able to join. And spent a lot of years there.
Love the scouting.
Love the scouting. You know, a lot of people in the cities have their sports and stuff like that. You know, we were a rural troop, and I looked forward to it. A lot of times I'd walk, you know, a couple of miles to our scout hut, and it was a little treacherous sometimes coming back at night when it was dark.
I bet.
But a lot of times Mom and Dad would take me and pick me up. But there was times that I had to walk, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to Lowe's Foods.
Started at Lowe's Foods in 1968 in Elkin on North Bridge Street, number 9. And Bobby Edmonston was our store manager. And I walked in my 16th birthday and asked him if he needed some help. I'd like to have a job. So at that time, I had on a white shirt and some blue jeans that was raveled at the bottom, and loafers with no socks, and that was the style, you know, or I thought it was at the time. He looks at me and he says, "Be here tomorrow with socks and a tie."
And you did.
And I did, and a career 20 years there. Worked my way up from bag boy to I was a supervisor for 12 stores at one time, and
Wow.
the merchandising coordinator. So that was a good career for me.
J.C. Fall, talk about him.
Well, J.C. Was very fair to me. I was hired by people in the store at the time, but as time went on, I was able to meet him, and he liked to sell merchandise. That's all he wanted to do, and all he could think of.
Sales.
His thought process sometimes was just stack it high and sell it cheap.
Right.
You know, so he always wanted the big displays filled all the time. And
Concentrated on produce.
produce, I worked under a guy, Reed Mathis, in Elkin for a while, and he was top notch, and learned me a lot of ropes there to how to make money.
Yeah.
And then went on to the meat department,
Yeah.
meat cutter, and I learned to cut meat when it was on the hanging off the hooks.
Sure.
Yeah, so that was a challenge, but I made that, and I would run a meat market, the store manager. So Lowe's was good to me.
Good. Sam Burchem, let's get another chapter of Lowe's Home Improvements, if you will.
Started at Lowe's Home Improvement in 1990. Larry Stone hired me, and I worked in store planning, and we did store layout. We would get the 4 walls by blueprint, and then we would put rack and merchandise, or place merchandise where it goes in those blueprints, and then ship them out to the new stores, and we'd re-merchandise existing stores.
Mm-hmm. So you travel a lot with him?
Traveled quite a bit with him.
Tell us about Larry.
Larry is, he's a unique person, I think. He's has a work ethics second to none. It's all about the customer with him. And he was very fair to his people, very fair to me. And we would go to a store, we'd get off the plane and go to the store, and before we'd go in the store, he wanted to make sure the parking lots were free of carts, any trash that was visible that we could see. So we would clean the stores, or the parking lots, before we would go in. Several times we did that.
Yeah.
And he was very good to his employees. And
You know, there's a presence about him that it's just really endearing. You know, he's just, it's just something unique about Larry that makes you want to be around him.
right, he's a great motivator, a good speaker. He would never do anything or ask us to do anything that he would not do.
Yeah.
So we worked long hours together sometimes.
So tell us about meeting BJ, your partner, and the good things that go on around your family.
Well, BJ is a special lady. I met her probably in '72. I was actually with two other girls from Elkin. We had come to Wilkesboro, and I met her up here that night. And one of the girls that I was with from Elkin went to college with her, so they introduced us, and of course the rest is history.
Great.
But we've been December the 1st. We'll be married 45 years.
Yeah.
And she just she's beautiful. She does everything, wants to do everything for others.
Yeah.
Sometimes
She's been a big
herself.
helper for me with our program here, People Doing Good for Others. Several of our guests have been contacts of BJ.
Right. Yeah, she's a special lady. A good Christian lady. Very involved in church and activities with the Good News Club and
Yeah.
and all. So she's
Sam Burchem, it's an honor having you here. Tell us about your son, John.
yes, John. He's getting ready to turn 39 December the 10th, and he works for the Ames companies and calls on Lowe's some, and they live in Statesville. His wife was Melinda Lane from North Wilkesboro here, and we have a 6-year-old granddaughter, and she loves school. She's in the 1st grade.
Yeah.
So of course we'll see them tomorrow, and John received his Eagle in scouting in about 1997. So he was in a troop here in North Wilkesboro, 335, and my brother-in-law Gary Jordan was a scoutmaster there at the time. So, and he loved scouting. I went to Philmont, which is a scout reservation out in New Mexico, on
Wow.
a 10-day trek, and he even talks about it today, that it was a special trip for him, and he was probably 14, 15 years old at the time, so he loved scouting.
Well, I'm
too.
glad you were supporting, were able to help him with that. You know, that's a memory that you can carry for life.
That's true, and back when I was in Scouts, a gentleman, Dwight Barker, was a big scout from the Benham area,
Okay.
and Austin area, and he went to Philmont with a group, and I remember him coming over to the scout hut and giving us pictures and a film to watch about the trip. And it always amazed me, and I would love to have went, but it was just a financial thing.
Yeah, sure.
And also, but it's got to be a great trip.
Raven Knob has played such a critical role in so many young lives of people who have experiences there that are just, we'll never forget. Talk about Raven Knob a little bit.
Raven Knob is a special place too. I went there many summers for summer camp, and the aquatics program there and the lake is just fantastic. And I'm sure it's much better today than it was then. But I learned to swim there. I got my swimming merit badge. Had to swim at least a mile at one time
Yeah.
to gain the swimming merit badge.
If I remember, that's a mandatory badge, isn't it?
Yes.
Swimming?
Mm-hmm. Swimming, life-saving, and is one also. So food was great. You know, we had Kool-Aid, but they called it bug juice, you know. But we had a great time and learned a lot of things. Climbing up to the knob
Yep.
was a challenge, but it was a lot of fun.
Sam Burchem, who was Ed Reynolds?
Ed Reynolds was former scoutmaster. One of them, John Blackburn, was another scoutmaster we had, but Ed was special. Spent a lot of time with him as a mentor and role model. We learned how to cook and camp and hike and survival skills and all, and he was just a good man. Spent a lot of years in scouting to just help the boys do the right thing.
You know, his brother Howard Reynolds is
Yes.
one of my dear friends who, he's 97. He stops by WIFM every week.
Right.
And if he doesn't, we should go looking for him because he's such a valuable part of our,
Right.
you know, he's a piece of WIFM, valuable.
Well, a lot of his family has helped us in scouting, and one of his sons, Leonard Reynolds, is on our committee.
Is he?
And works with us real close. Yeah.
All right, tell us about this troop that you're so close to each and every day. Tell us about how that works with you, Sam Burchem.
Well, it's the troop that I was in as a kid, Troop 658, Cool Springs. It's made up of a group of citizens of Cool Springs. We're not associated with any church or organization, and so we have to do a lot of fundraising to maintain the troop, help some of the boys that or families that might need some help when summer camp time comes around. The dues, the fees are always going up, so sometimes that's a struggle for some of the families. Matter of fact, they're getting ready to go up about 80% for the boys, and so it's a struggle. But we do a lot of fundraising. We have our own scout hut. It's a building.
Where is that, Sam?
It's off the Austin Trap Hill Road, close to the Cool Springs area, between West Elkin and Benham.
Is it the same hut that you were in?
Yes.
Is it?
It is. So it's over the years it's had needed a lot of love and tender care, but when I was there we didn't have the kitchen or restrooms, but we do now, and so we have to spend quite a bit of money every year to just maintain. Some of the things we've had to do from fundraising is new roofs, ceiling, windows, floor. We built an
Top
extra
notch.
built top notch, and
Good.
it's out in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, we have a dirt road down to it, and we have to maintain the road as well.
Sure.
But used to play a lot of games around outside and down
Yeah.
in the creek. So it was a good place to hang out,
Good.
and still is today.
Yeah. How often do scouts meet? Every week?
Once a week.
Once
They
a
meet
week.
Monday evenings, Monday afternoon late, and camping every couple of months. Might take a break during the harsh winter, but
Yeah.
of course I remember we used to camp. We woke up before with our eggs be froze. So as a kid, and that's man, that's exciting.
Really?
Yeah.
Sam, tell me this sense of benevolence that you feel to put into the community to generate the things because of the essence of young men and it's going to be young women now too. Let's talk about that feeling you have that it matters to provide opportunity for youngsters.
Well, I think back, somebody was there for me, and of course my mom and dad supported me being in the Scouts, and a brother as well. But a lot of times today there's one parent, and they need all the help you can get, or they can get. So there's a need there that we just want to help, and we have a great committee. If it weren't, for the committee that we have, that's very supportive of the troop, and a lot of that committee was in that troop also as a kid. So we just got to pay it back and or pay it forward, so to speak.
Yeah. So Ed Reynolds instilled, it's never too late to make a difference.
Never too late to make a difference. That's right. Yeah.
Ed Reynolds.
Yeah.
So we have the needs, the kids, some children need more than others.
Correct.
And then let's go to the income side and tell us about how folks like you and committee members to meet these goals these kids have.
Right.
How So what are some of the things you do to make this money?
Well, some of the things we've done in the past, and even some today, we've had auctions to auction off funds. Our first auction was a big success, and we've had a few since then. But at the first auction, we had a lot of donations from Lowe's at the time, and that was about $5,000 we were able to put in the bank, and that just put us.
So you had a crowd, the folks in the community come together, and then you bid.
Yeah, just a regular auction. We had it at the Benham-Ruatan Club at the time. More parking or better parking.
Okay.
So you can have a good crowd. And so that was a good success. And we've had a few since then. We did some car washes, and that's, car washes is a little tough to make money. And the liability there is a little tough because, you know, if you get some sand in a rag, you don't want to scratch too many cars with that. So we
Gotcha.
sort of ventured away from that. But fundraisers, barbecue fundraisers.
Tell us about that.
Thing.
I think that's such an interesting concept. Let's tell about how that works.
Well, a gentleman by the name of, he goes by Oz, does our barbecue, and he's well known in Wilkesboro. His brothers, there's Mark and Ronnie, and you either get one or both sometimes, depending on their work schedule. But they're great, great food. And we started doing that at Oakwoods Grocery for the troop. And we started with the sandwich, the chip, and a drink for $3. And a lot of people say, well, man, that's not enough. Well, it's on the low end side. The margin's not all that great. But you have a lot of people that are pretty gracious.
They feel good about the price, so
they'll give a little extra sometimes.
A little extra.
Yeah. So, and then in some
cases.
cases.
That's a good strategy, Sam.
Oh, it is. And then, Robert there at the Oakwoods Grocery, he had when he was there, and then still continue today. They support a lot of fundraisers. People will come out there and ask Rodney, can we have one there? And then depending on who it is and where they're from, we'll all pitch in and help, and it's just we love it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help people in need, and so that's the fundraisers. We work for Scouts. We do Merle Fest.
Tell us about that.
We assist the officers backstage parking for where the artists come in with their buses. So we see a lot of the artists and keep an eye on them, and we keep.
So Willie Nelson's coming this year, and you'll get to see him.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Have the opportunity to if I'm there when he's coming, and I'm sure I will be.
Yeah.
So, but we, all of our committee takes turns working shifts. So it's a lot of hours
you've played
involved.
this role for the Merle Fest for a long time?
Oh, Merle Fest probably probably at least 20 years or more. So I started out driving the van for my brother-in-law, Gary Jordan. He's over all the shuttle there. So we started out doing that, and then we branched out and got into other areas to make a little more money.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
All right, we got Merle Fest, we have barbecue.
Barbecues, that's the two that we have right now. And we have some people occasionally will donate money to the troop.
Give me the troop number again.
658.
658.
Yeah.
And if folks wanted to get involved, find you or just ask around, and somebody will connect
Yes.
with a giver to the need.
Yes, our Scoutmaster is Mike Pettyjohn.
Oh, let's talk about Mike and Regina.
They are wonderful people. His wife, Regina, they handle our Cub Pack, and they're both involved even in the Scout troop, and they do a tremendous job. They keep the boys' heart and mind all the time, every decision they make. We, as a committee, we don't have to worry about what they're doing with the boys. They're camping, they're working on merit badges, this type thing. All
Mike's
the time.
been a guest here, and
Okay.
he's, I think his sons, that they sing, maybe a quartet. His wife plays the piano, maybe?
Yeah, they do, and they're very good.
Yeah,
If you have an opportunity, need to scope them out.
okay.
Yeah, but they do a tremendous job with the troop. They have 3 sons, and all 3 of those have their eagle. So, and
So Mike's the division engineer here at Division 11, I believe, here
Yes.
in Wilkesboro,
Yes, he
North
is.
Wilkesboro.
He is. They do a
Well, I'm
tremendous
glad
job.
you would compliment the Pettyjohn family.
Well, they're just great with the boys. Of course, they have 3 boys themselves, so they know how.
And they're all Eagles?
All
Wow.
Eagles, yes.
How about that?
Right.
I want to go back to Oakwoods Grocery and that legend of the Robert Rosati, I think 37 years maybe, or
Yes.
let's talk about, how does that work? Talk about Oakwoods and its outreach, if you will, as a community where things happen,
Right.
good things happen at Oakwoods.
Right. Well, that's where I start my day, probably 5 or 6 days a week. We'll go out there and you might hear a tall tale, or you wonder, somebody's telling you about someone sick, or there's a need. So then we try to wrap our hands around that and help if we can. But it's a place where a lot of people come to for information, for groceries as well, or gas. They pump gas for you, wash your windshield, check your oil if you need it.
Right.
So they're customer oriented, and that's the way Robert was when he was there, Robert and Sue. Rodney and Lisa Shoemaker are the owners now, and they're carrying the torch right along with
Good.
how Robert did it. So
Good.
it's just a great place to hang out and just have a lot of fun. But we do a lot of good for fundraising and
It
for
seems
the
like
community in need.
the environment is always about listening for an opportunity to help.
Right,
Isn't that kind of how it works?
right. It is, and there's a lot of need. You don't have to look too far
Right.
to find it.
Sam Burchem, what about all the friends that we have there? And I wanna go back to the Scouts. Is that something that you're doing virtually every day, all year round?
Well, I'm not involved with it every day.
We met there. You were doing a Scout
Yes.
event when we met.
Yes. But I don't deal with it every day, but between Merle Fest and the barbecues that we have, and then just the committee will meet every couple of months or so. So
How many's in the committee?
there's probably 8,
Okay.
so that, and most of them are very active.
You know something, I want to make sure that our folks that are tuning in today, there's 18 Scouts, Boy Scouts, and,
Right.
and how many? 25?
18 boys that's pretty active in the troop, and we have 35
35, not 25, 35.
35 boys in the Cub Pack. And we use that, as a feeder, so to speak.
Like the minor league teams feed the big leagues.
Right, right.
How about that?
So, every so often you have a crossover, and, some will stay in and some won't, but we use that as a feeder and just have, fulfill, just like fulfilling orders up from like a baseball team. So.
Sam Burchem, we've had a wonderful experience today, and I want to thank River Street and Wilkes Communications and WIFM. This is such an part of my life that's so fulfilling to meet a Sam Burchem and to know the good things that are happening in communities. And I want you to make sure that that you feel good about the person you are because you're making such a difference in our community. So would you like to have a final statement? You and BJ as a team have really helped a lot of people.
Well, I don't do enough. I need to do more. But we're, we go to Cove Creek Baptist Church. As a kid, I grew up and went to Shoal Branch Baptist Church, there where I was saved and baptized at the age of 12. And, that's the kind of thing that just, you carry it through the rest of your life. And you try to just, and being in Scouts has made me want to do more for people.
Yeah.
And then the people that you're around, such as yourself and Robert Rosati and the Larry Stones, over the years, you can't do nothing but good.
Yeah.
So
it's good to be around good people because it rubs off on us.
Right, and especially with BJ,
Yep.
She keeps me going.
That's a wonderful influence.
Yeah. And,
thank you
she's
for
been
being
good for
with
me.
me today. God bless you, friend.
Thank you very much for having me.
You too.
Thank you.
People doing good for others. Sam Burchem has honored us today with his experience and his hope and his great faith, and his community is such an advocate with his wife, BJ. Thank you for being with us today, and I hope you'll be with us the next time we're here. So again, from Wilkes Communications, River Street Productions, and WIFM, people doing good for others. Thank you for honoring us with your presence today, and I'm sure you've been lifted in a special way. Thank you.